Hey, how's it going, Disc Golf fam? I know it's been a while since I have put out a video here for Underground Interviews, but welcome to my new segment. It's called Motivational Mondays. This series that I'm doing doesn't necessarily talk about the top card action that you get to see covered all the time. This is going to be more of the stuff that we talk about where players are not at their best of their game and they've gone through some struggles because in my opinion I feel like that's where you really learn the most about your game. When I'm playing well and I'm scoring well, I can't necessarily remember all the stuff that I was doing to score well. I just know that everything was just connecting that day. But you know what? I can tell you the times that I've had bad rollaways that rolled to out of bounds, some really bad shots where I've hit the first available tree, hole after hole after hole after hole. Really had mental struggles. And I feel like that's really where we learn the most about our game. We can really begin to excel as players and learn from those mistakes. So this week, I'm actually going to be talking with Hailey King. She's volunteered to be our first guest, and she's got a couple stories that she's going to share from while she was on tour. Hopefully, everybody learns a little bit of something from this. Maybe during this off season, it's going to be something you can look back on, and it really pushes you to go through and hit those extra 100 putts throughout the week, or maybe go and run that extra mile, hit the gym, do whatever you're working on to better yourself physically, mentally, as a person on and off the course. So we'll go ahead and just get right into the action here with Hailey. Okay, disc golfers, here we go with our first Motivational Monday. I have a really special guest, one of my favorite people to interview, and that's actually one of the newest members to the Elite Team on Discraft, and that is Hailey King. You guys have already checked out her interviews. If you haven't checked that out, I'll put the link right above for that, as well as her bag check from last season, and I'm sure we'll get a new updated in the bag later on throughout this off season. But Hailey, how are things going? Any big changes in your life since your tournament season has ended?
I'm doing great. I actually just moved out to California for the off season, so
Okay.
still, doing homework too. Almost done last semester, and I'll be going on tour next year. So,
That's it, the big time. So I've got some questions for you, and you know what? It's easy as a fan to see like lots of top card coverage, and we don't necessarily get to see what happens in the rougher moments, the more difficult tournaments. And as a player, I feel like that's where you learn the most about yourself and about your game. You know, when you're playing and you're on, you're not really thinking about a lot of stuff. Everything's just flowing and doing well. It's when you're having those struggling moments and really just not connecting well where you figure things out and you learn the most about your game and you figure stuff out and you adapt. So some of these probably aren't the funnest things to talk about, but I appreciate you coming on there, and hopefully you'll inspire some other players here that are struggling with their game and help motivate them through the off season to really push and get better.
no, yeah, I totally agree with what you said about every hole. Every hole is definitely a learning experience, and even if you get a birdie or an eagle on a hole, I think there's still something to learn from there. So I think the most important thing on the disc golf course for beginners trying to or even advanced players trying to make that push to pro, it's like you just got to keep a calm mindset, and you just have to think that no matter what you do on a hole, you should learn from it. So like you can't
Mm-hmm.
get too hard on yourself if you bogey a hole, because the next hole you might birdie it. And then if you keep a positive mindset, you'll just keep growing as a player instead of just dwelling on these holes. That's just going to keep your motivation like not at a high level, where if you had a positive mindset, your motivation is going to be higher. So it's like you'll have more reason to just keep going and try to turn pro.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that as well. One of the first questions that I actually have for you kind of ties into keeping a positive mindset. Is I always noticed in your play, even when I met you at the Rumble, you always have your AirPods in. Is there like a certain kind of music that you like to listen to, or do you change your music throughout the tournament depending on how you're playing? Or kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
So music for me is just to, like, stay focused on something, because if I'm not preoccupied, I tend to fidget a lot. So that starts to become a problem on the disc golf course if you can't focus on the one job you have to do. So I listen to like a lot of music. I listen to music that I know the words to, and like really vibe with, I guess. But that's like a lot of Juice World, Trippie Redd, and just like I listen to a lot of different music, but when I'm feeling it, I tend to listen to more Juice World, Trippie Redd, like even NF and stuff like that, because a lot of their music, like if you listen to some songs, it's more motivational too. Like if you really listen to it, it's motivational and it just tells you that they went through struggles and that they're up on top, they're doing it now. So I like to listen to that music when I'm more so on and playing well. And when I'm like playing a little bit bad, I kind of listen to more like country songs to just like get me in a better mood and just like get to that place where I play well.
Okay, yeah, I kind of do the same. I change my music based on the tempo of my game, and it's weird because like if I'm not playing well, I prefer something that's like pumped up to really get me motivated. But once I've birdied like 3 or 4 holes in a row, and I know what the course is coming up, and I know I've got more birdie opportunities ahead of me. Sometimes I'll put something a little more mellow and calming down on, so I can get through and I can birdie those holes because it does become a little nerve wracking as you start to play well, even to keep that mindset going.
Right.
Because one hole that becomes a disaster while you're streaking together some great holes can really ruin a great round.
Yeah, for sure.
So while we're talking about that, if you had a chance to replay any hole from the tournament last season that you just go back to and say, you know what, I want to redo. This is my one mulligan. What hole in what tournament would that be?
I'm gonna say hole 13 Fox Run at GMC. Uh, that hole, I think hole 13 is just with a pole in it, the telephone pole.
Mm-hmm.
That's 13. Yeah. Um, that hole, I was set up. I was just right there. Should have had an easy birdie. I chain out, I roll a B, and I ended up getting a 6 because I chained out again. That's just one hole. It's a really, in my opinion, it's like a textbook hole. You throw it straight, you let your disc hyzer. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty simple, and then you just make a putt. So that hole, yeah, I would definitely like to go back and replay it because I love Fox Run, and that was just like a mistake that I made. I was like, what are you doing?
Okay, and that's where mentally I feel like as players we set up expectations on holes and for rounds. So now on that particular hole, Hailey, what was your like scoring expectation? How had you been shooting in practice when you had practiced it?
Practicing, I was getting birdies on it. Like I said, it's a textbook hole. You throw it straight, you let hyzer in. So definitely coming in to the round during tournament play, I was hoping for a birdie, but if I got a par, it's all right because hole 14 is next. There's plenty of holes left. But on, I think it was the last round at GMC, I ended up taking a 6 on the hole when I was 30 feet away off the drive. So I was definitely expecting to get a par at like the worst, but it didn't go as planned and I ended up taking a 6. So yeah.
Okay. Do you remember kind of how your mindset changed after that hole? I mean, I couldn't think that it would be like obviously the most positive thing, but do you remember how it made you feel?
Honestly, I don't remember how it made me feel, but if I were to guess, it would make me like feel fired up and I just want to go get the next hole and the birdie after birdie, 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 just something like that. I don't really get hard on myself. I just keep everything mental and it's just like, okay, that hole's over, go on to the next, try to get the next birdie. You know what to do, you know how to throw a disc, so why not do it?
Okay. You make it sound so easy to move past that. Do you have any tips that you would give somebody in that situation? If you were watching somebody do that on film and you seen them struggle with that, are there any tips you would say, hey, this is how you could keep a positive mindset through that and push on?
It really depends on what type of a person you are and how you take things, because me, I take constructive criticism very well. Like I'm open to anything. I learn from everything that I do. So if you're that type of a person and you don't play that way on a disc golf game, like for some reason your disc golf mindset isn't the same, you need to get that, you need to get your mindset to a point where you are playing a professional sport and you learn from everything you do. No matter how long you play, you are still learning something on the course. So when you have a bad hole, you need to take it as a learning lesson or just lesson and move on from it, but keep it in the back of your head so you can practice and make sure it doesn't happen again. You just can't get too hard on yourself.
Okay, I think most players out there can definitely respect that kind of input. Now, while you've been on tour, have you ever had any moments where you've like questioned, why am I here? Why am I out on tour? I shouldn't be doing this. Like, this is way harder than what I had ever imagined, and I want to go home.
There was definitely some times I was debating on going home, but it was more so the money part because I it was hard for me to get on tour money wise. Like my parents don't have money, nobody was able to help me. It was all me, and I wanted it that way too because this is my career. But one of the points I remember one time I was just like, why am I here? This was at Hall of Fame because my tour was supposed to end at my tour was supposed to end at US Women. So I was expecting to go to Tennessee, get my stuff, and then fly home from there. But then I ended up talking to Paul. He ended up helping me out going on the road. And then Hall of Fame, I think it was hole 8 of the second round. I hurt my arm. And I was like, I just finished that round. And then hole 4 or 5 of the last round, I ended up like having to drop out. And as soon as like I threw that last shot, I was like, I was just questioning myself, why am I here? Like I just made this extra like two stops instead of going home. Like why did I do that? Why am I here? But then I'm like, there's a reason I'm here. This is my career. I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep doing this because I want this to be my career. So there were definitely times that I was questioning, but at the same time I was like, well, there's a reason you're here. You're doing what you love. You're putting yourself in this position to make your life the best it can be. So there is a reason you're here, and you just need to like man up at this moment and just keep pushing.
Okay. Do you have any specific stories that you'd like to share with our viewers or fans that maybe could motivate them and help push them a little bit longer? Something that you've done on tour that was like, you know what, I want to share this with everybody, and they're gonna get some kind of positive vibe out of this.
Yeah. So I started disc golfing when I was 12 or 13, I think. And then I played my first tournament in 2016. And then I took cash in 2018. And I was doing school, like traditional school. And it was the easiest thing for me. Schools, for me, it's very easy. And I then had the opportunity to talk to my counselor and see if I can go on tour for 2019. And it was 3 months in a row we had no answer, and then we finally got an answer, and they said that my sister and I, we couldn't join. So we're like, all right, well, my counselor, she actually like she pushed them and told them my case, like what I'm doing, my disc golf related stuff, and then they eventually let me do online. So with me doing online, it opened up a time slot where I can get a job. So I worked at Pizza Hut in my hometown with my sister, and I made $1,500 to go on tour. And for anybody that doesn't know what it's like to go on tour, $1,500 is not a lot to go on tour. It would not last you that long. And I was doing online, went on a tour, and I finished up all my classes for the year. And I actually ended up staying on tour longer than I originally planned. So I think that to me is a lot because online school is so much different and so much harder than traditional school, where it actually took a lot for me to like get my schoolwork done and to keep on the road to play disc golf. So, like that was a lot for me to manage, but I did it. And I think that can be an obstacle for a lot of up and coming players. So if that is, just know that if you really have your mind set, nothing can interfere.
Your passion for the game is just, it's crazy. The amount of work that you've put into it, like the story that you just shared there. Do you think a lot of that has to do with like Bob and Paul's decision to put you on the elite team this year?
Yeah, I would definitely think so. Bob and Paul see a lot of potential in me, and I'm good friends with both of them, and they want to help me so I can make this my career. They know the position I'm in, and they want to be able to help me out a lot. So, yeah.
That is awesome. Well, all the fans out there, if you guys want to support Hailey, the easiest thing you can do, smash the like button right now. All right, she's going to go back. She's going to check out this video. She's going to see all the love that you guys get. Also, pay attention to her social media throughout the year as we see some really awesome tour series discs that she put out last year. I'm expecting high expectations this year as well, and excited for that. Any shout outs you want to give before I let you go here?
I want to thank Discraft and Ridge Roller, Perfect Putt 360, and Ladies First for everything they've done to help me on the road and help me succeed and to the place I'm at right now. And yeah, I just want to thank all my fans and everything for all the support. It's kept me going throughout the year for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for sharing all these awesome stories, and hopefully these will help motivate at least just one person out there that maybe is struggling right now, and maybe it'll help them push that extra step, those extra 50 putts. Maybe instead of going to the gym or skipping the gym, they're going to go to the gym the extra couple times this winter to do what they need to do to get themselves ready for next year. So thanks so much for having you on, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to watch more awesome videos? We know you do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, turn on that notification bell so that you're notified every time we post new videos here at Underground Interviews.